Are you wasting a lot of money on LinkedIn ads and you're just getting zero leads out of it, no trials whatsoever, and you're just like, this is not working for me, this is a massive waste? Then don't worry, we can fix it, but you're also not alone, because the reality is that only around 5% of people are actually in the market for buying software. So if you're hitting all 100%, all the 95% with like, please come and buy my software now, of course it's gonna fall flat. And that's a struggle I see every day when we work with marketeers. The good thing is that LinkedIn ads can actually become your most powerful channel for generating consistent high quality leads and trials. I will show you how to do that now. All right, so here's the situation. LinkedIn ads, giant catalog of all the business people in the world, right? There's a shit ton of people there. And the great thing is they all put in their job title, which company they're working in. And if you have a clear, good understanding of who it is you actually want to target, we can do that exactly with LinkedIn. So we can reach the right decision makers and nurture them into actually becoming customers. So LinkedIn ads can be amazingly powerful channel because you have access to the right people. You know what's their job title, which company they're working in. And if you've done your customer research and you figured out who is your ideal customer, if you've done that research and you understand the pains and what's actually keeping them awake at night, we can create a whole flow where we not just go for the 5% who are ready to buy, but we actually start to nurture the 95% who are not there yet and slowly, nicely move them towards becoming customers. The key here is to guide them and to build trust over time, provide value, basically, and to guide them towards, again, understanding what is their problem. Maybe they're not even aware of it. And then saying, once they realize that, guide them towards what are the options on the market. Yeah, sure enough, we're one of them, and eventually move them to buy. But we need to cover all the aspects of that. And that's where most companies fail, because they just say, go buy, sign up for my trial. As I always say, it's like trying to get married on the first date. It rarely works unless you're really handsome, but we don't want that approach. It's going to be way too expensive, and we're just not going to have a consistent channel to generate customers. The problem that we see every day is that companies are setting up LinkedIn campaigns and trying to do this marry on the first date setup, and what they're getting is a lot of irrelevant clicks of people who are just like, that sounds interesting, but then they come in to a website or they see the ad and they're like, whoa, I'm not at all ready for this, and then they bounce back. So that drives up your cost, and suddenly you're in that situation. And I've heard this so many times from both prospects and customers. LinkedIn ads, such an expensive channel, it's not working, but it's failing because we're just trying to marry on the first date. The solution we have is a framework where we're trying to engage those other 95% and move them down the funnel. We call this our LinkedIn Ads Profit Multiplier framework, and it basically consists of 3 stages. So just like any funnel, you'll have an awareness, consideration, and decision stage. So the awareness stage is where you start to build some trust. You want to build up some visibility. The goal here is not to sell. I really want to emphasize this, not to sell. Remember, we're hitting those 95% who are not ready to get married yet. We do this typically by creating content that can educate and engage our audience. We ourselves, with our customers, use single image ads. We use text ads, video ads, because it's good types of ads for sharing value and content, and could also be linking out to blog posts or some webinars or whatever. You want to actually position your brand as a solution, like the go-to solution for the challenges, right? So an example of this could be run a video ad that explains some common industry problems and provide some actionable insights without pushing your product. This builds some trust and it gets your audience to notice you. I have an example of a customer we did this for. It was an unmature market. people didn't know that there was a solution for the pain they had, and the pain was employee scheduling. And at that point, they were just doing it all on a white paper or whatever, caused a shit ton of problems for their employees when they were sick or had to reschedule, go on vacation. There were a ton of pains, but they were not aware of it. So they were not out Googling or searching for it. So instead, we created content around other issues they had, which was attracting customers to the restaurant, which was the ICP, the ideal customer in this case, and how could they like solve the problems they had there. And then eventually we moved them over to, if you actually want to fix your restaurant, you got to deal with your staff and how you schedule with that. One thing I just want to make a note on to be aware of here is keep an eye on the impressions you see in LinkedIn ads. If you're almost not getting any or they cost a fortune, then you might want to consider your targeting or your messaging. Because if you're hitting the right people, but with the wrong message, they're not going to engage, then your price going to go up. If you're hitting the wrong people with the right message, the same is going to happen. So keep an eye on those impressions and the cost for it. Still keep in mind that this is going to cost some money and you need to run this for a while, see if it actually pays off. You're not going to see tons of leads pouring in the door tomorrow. You need to set aside a budget and don't panic. I've seen this too many times, people panicking too early. Once we have made people aware that we exist, we've given them some value, we move on to the consideration phase. So now we're moving on to the consideration phase, next phase after awareness. So all these people that we have now made aware that we exist, we provided them some value, we want to move them further down our funnel, and we do this by actually giving them even more value. Invite them to webinars, give them white papers, ebooks, whatever that is related to the pains they have. If you don't know what the pains are of the people you're trying to reach, all of this is going to fall flat. But if you have a very clear understanding of what that is, and you can provide content that makes their life a bit easier, you're going to win a lot of easy points here. So create that kind of content where they see you as the solution to like, wow, these guys, they really understand me. What is it actually they have? That's kind of the spirit you want to create in them, right? An important thing to note here is, remember retargeting, right? So people who have engaged with your content and then the phone rang, or the kids were like, hey, Dad, can you help me with something? And they got distracted, but they actually saw what they were reading from you or watching a videos. That was like actually some pretty cool stuff. So it's important to set up retargeting campaigns where we show ads to people who have engaged with our website or ads or whatever it has been, to keep them in the loop, because we're all squirrels. Stuff will happen. We need to be there front and center for them. An example could be somebody downloads one of your ebooks, then let's run some ads of inviting them into a webinar or showing them a case study or something like that. This helps keep them engaged and moves them closer to making a decision of, is your software? That's maybe what we actually need in our company to support our processes and make us better. Key things to track here, I would say frequency. So how frequently have people actually seen your ads? LinkedIn themselves go for like 9 times. We go somewhere between 3 and 9, but definitely keep an eye on it. If it's too low, then your audience is probably too big, and you would have to reduce that into a smaller chunk so you can get to a high enough level of frequency. If your frequency goes 20 or something, probably have a too small audience, or you're just burning too much money on a small audience. So I would definitely keep an eye on that. Click-through rate also being a good one to keep an eye on. If it's super low, then it's probably because there's some misalignment between your audience and what kind of offer you have for them. Another one, the last one to consider, is a newer one that LinkedIn Ads introduced. It's called dwell time, which is basically around how long time are people spending on your ads. Is it like half a second? Is it 4 seconds? What is it? Which can give you an indication of, is your ad creative good enough? Or are they just scrolling past? Is your headline poor? And you maybe need to create a better hook or something like that. So consider that one as well. final stage is the decision stage. It's the bottom of your funnel. We moved them from awareness to consideration and now ready to make a decision. Should they actually sign up for your product or not? This is where you focus in on converting those high intent prospects that have now been looking at all the good stuff you shared, all the value you shared, and we want to move them into signing up for that trial or demo call or whatever is your call to action. For this, we typically use lead gen ads. We use it to promote demos or trials or get on a sales call. This is where you focus on converting these high intent buyers. We typically use lead gen ads, which is this form where people can fill out their information directly on LinkedIn, or it could also be send them off to the website to go through your trial sign up flow or book a demo. I want to make sure that you check your landing pages and your forms, that they're human, that they're optimized for people to actually be able to sign up. There's so many times where I've seen forms being insane, like we ask way too many questions way too early in the process, and that scares people away. Just a simple thing like asking for the phone number, you could like cut your conversion rate in half just by asking phone number. Is this really necessary? I cannot emphasize this enough. Ask for the stuff you need at this point and skip the rest. A good example of moving people from consideration through the decision phase is people who have been on your webinars, they engaged with it, they showed up. Those are the more high intent kind of prospects. I would show them a lead gen ad with sign up for a trial or book a demo or send them off to the website and go through the flow, but move them. Don't just leave them with the webinar, move them over to the trial. In terms of metrics, this is a different stage because now you actually want to measure on MQL. So marketing qualified lead. In a SaaS world, that would be trial signups, people who completed the trial sign-up flow, or people who booked a demo who actually fit with the type of customer that you are looking for. So not just the wrong industry, but the salespeople are happy. That looks like a good lead. That's a marketing qualified lead. That's what you want to start to measure on. So use the conversion tracking in LinkedIn for tracking this send the events back to LinkedIn so you can start to optimize for that. So there's a quite common myth, which is that, I don't simply have enough budget to run LinkedIn ads. It's way too expensive. I need to have a giant budget, and I just don't have that. And I will not be able to engage these 95% to actually get to a high enough frequency and move them down the funnel, which is complete bullshit in my head. It's just a matter of decreasing your audience size so that you have a budget that actually aligns with the size of your audience so that you can get to that high enough frequency and then move them downwards. Maybe your audience is just 2,000-3,000 people. Then it's actually very easy to get to these kind of numbers. But of course, if you're trying to hit 2 million people, you need a giant budget. So be super aware of your audience. If it's too big, it's going to be very problematic. Also, if it's too small, it can give some other issues. Try to hit some balance in that. So let's recap this. The formula for LinkedIn ad success is build the awareness for those 95% who are just out there and not ready to buy. Give them a lot of value, educational, trust-building content. Then nurture that interest as they evaluate on what's in the market. Nurture that interest as they evaluate their options by giving them even more value. Educate them even more, give them super high value offers, give them solutions to those annoying problems they have where your product is maybe a part of that solution, but give them the manual version of what your product solves, right? Give them the spreadsheet that handles that employee scheduling or whatever that issue is, and saying that's actually a better way, and that's the smooth way of moving them over to the trial, because now we have those people who engaged with us in the awareness consideration phase, and we need to convert those 5%. Finally, the 5%, we're focusing on those. And we do that with clear call to actions, driving them to trials, but we move them all the way through our funnel first. So by meeting your customer where they are, giving them the right message at the right time, you can actually get to a very healthy business case, getting good return on investment on your LinkedIn ads, and drive consistent growth. You're ready to unlock your LinkedIn ads full potential and stop wasting that precious budget and actually get something out of it, get real revenue, real customers in the door, make those salespeople just light up when you get in the door and they will say, hallelujah, we love marketing. Then download our LinkedIn framework and start building up that pipeline that will generate a nice stream of customers coming into your SaaS company.